Hi team, I hope you're all well. Today I am going to be doing my May TBR. It's probably not a great day to be filming this. I'm in a very indecisive mood. We are going to be using the cards to help me out, but first we do need to pull from the Patreon pot. In May I am taking part in the final book support group. We've got the long weekend over the first weekend of May. So I will be taking part in that, so I'll be trying to get some final books on my TBR. I do have a book that I definitely need to get on, so if it fits one of the prompts, I will get it on there, but if not, I will let you know what that is towards the end of the video. And I also have my box readathon with my patrons, so it is the special edition week-long version of the F1 readathon. If you didn't know, with my patrons, every single month I host a 24 or 48 hour or week-long readathon. It's usually 24 hour, the last two have been 48 because I have been away and we didn't do one in Feb, so I've wanted to kind of make up for both of those things. But in May we do have the week-long special edition round. We started doing this last year. I have a problem with getting through my special edition books that have come from subscription boxes, so we decided to, Jade actually came up with this fantastic idea that we could have one called a box readathon. When a car comes into an F1 into the F1 pit lane to have their tyres changed, or they're retiring or whatever, they're changing something on the car, is called box. So it just made sense. And this month is the box readathon, so it's for a week to give us longer period of time, and it's to focus on special edition subscription box books. If you don't own subscription box books, you can pick books that have been featured in subscription boxes that are on your TBR. That also counts. So I will be doing that as well. So I may be trying to get some special edition books on here too. We will see what happens. Otherwise, I'm going to wing the month and try and do some mood reading. I have been so focused on the BookTuber favourites video, and then I was away, and then I've done the 24 manga in 24 hours, that I would really like to do some mood reading. I'm in the mood to mood read. The only issue with that is I struggle with mood reading because then I get overwhelmed with my TBR, which is why I do TBRs. So we're going to pull this out first and see what this is going to be. I'm a little bit anxious because I can't remember what's in here. So we'll do this one. I think is upside down. Fruits basket from Claire. Oh my god, that couldn't have gone any better, honestly. So we have Fruits Basket Volume 2. Bless Claire for putting that in my pot. I appreciate you. So that couldn't have gone any better because this is also on my spring TBR and I am very behind on that as well. So I will be trying to get some of those books on here, I think, as well. This series is bizarre. The first volume is quite strange. We are following this young girl who essentially, in the first volume, she leaves her home and she ends up setting up a tent in this field. What she doesn't know is this field is owned by a family. So one day the family end up turning up and asking her to come down to the house, and they have a conversation with her and they end up taking her in. Now this family is quite strange because when they touch a person, they turn, of the opposite sex, they turn into a zodiac animal. Is that right? I think they turn into like a zodiac animal. They're called somas. Magical powers and ancient curses are the order of the day. So she ends up going to school with some of these lads and things like that, and she ends up living with them. So that's where we're up to in this series. I did enjoy the first one. It was a little bit bizarre, but I was keen enough to want to continue. So I'm excited that this is on my TBR. Thank you so much to Claire for whacking this on here, because I truly appreciate that. That could have been so much more worse. I can't remember what's in that pot, but it could have been so much more worse. So that is the first book going on my TBR. Very happy about that, despite the fact that I have just come off the back of 24 manga in 24 hours. It would be nice to have some manga on my TBR. So now we're going to do the cards. Like I said, I'm only going to pull 5 so that I can essentially kind of wing the rest of the month. So we'll see what ends up coming up on here. I am a little bit nervous about this. So the first card is going to be, it's upside down. First card is going to be this one. Choose a book which is in one of your, which is set in one of your favourite cities. Shine a light. Right. That's a bit difficult though, because not everything doesn't always tell you, you know? Right.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Alright, I've managed to find another book off my spring TBR that's set in New York. And this one is A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. I loved 7 Days in June. It was absolutely fantastic, so I'm very excited about reading this one. One florist, one pianist, one love story, 100 years in the making. Set against the backdrop of modern Harlem and Renaissance glamour, A Love Song for Ricky Wilde is a swoon-worthy love story of two passionate artists drawn to the magic, romance and opportunity of New York. So it's set in my favourite city. It's the romance of New York as well as an actual romance between two people, and I'm really excited about reading this one. So this is perfect for that prompt, and I'm very excited to pick this one up. This wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. Albeit none of the other books that I looked through told me where it was set, so that's great. Okay, so pick number 2. Give these another quick shuffle and turn this around so that it's gonna show you the right way around. Choose a book which has been in your TBR for more than a year. That narrows that down. Okay, do you know what has been in my TBR for more than a year? It's my Patreon buddy read for March and April that I haven't read yet, but the live show isn't until the 7th of May. So I have time to get to it, and it is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. Yes, it's starting a series, but my thought process is that if I read this early on next week, which will be the first week of like May, obviously with the first 2 days of the week, Monday and Tuesday, still being in April, if I enjoy it enough, I could read the next one for Final Book Support Group because it's only a duology. So that will work for this. This is a romance fantasy, I think, with a mystery element to it. Enchantment runs deep on the magical Isle of Cadence. The capricious spirits that live there find mirth in the lives of the humans who call the land home. But that mischief turns to malevolence as girls begin to go missing. Adira, heiress of the East, knows the spirits only answer to a bard's music, enticing them to return the missing girls. But there's only one bard capable of drawing the spirits forth by song, her childhood enemy, Jack Tamerlane. He hasn't stepped foot on Cadence in 10 long years, content to study music at the mainland university. But as Jack and Adira reluctantly work together, it becomes apparent the trouble with the spirits is far more sinister than first thought, and an older, darker secret lurks beneath the surface, threatening to undo them all. I don't know if this is a romance or not, actually, but it's a mystery and it's a fantasy, so I'm very excited about that because I love me a good mystery and I love me a good fantasy book. So I'm intrigued by this one. Kath and Caitlin have been telling me for ages I need to read this one, and they encouraged me to buy the Feralute edition of the next one, whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head now. So is it Fire Endless or something like that? So they encouraged me to get the Feralute one because they think I'm going to love this series. So I'm very excited to get to this one on that basis, and it is my Patreon buddy read. So that is the second one going on. So for book number 3, this is going relatively well so far. I do not want to put the kiss of death on it, touch wood, but it's going okay so far. Spin this around. We have choose a book which is body positive. Shit.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, that took me ages to decide. I did a lot of Googling. Body positive book. I'm going to go for Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. I've had this on my shelves for a while now and I've been meaning to get to it. It's because it's YA that I'm a little bit about it, because I don't read a lot of YA romance anymore. So, could you brave the wilderness with your highly suspicious and unfairly cute ex-best friend? Bradley Graham is pretty much perfect. He's a star football player, manages his OCD well enough, and comes out on top in all his classes, except the ones he shares with Celine Bangura. They used to be best friends until Brad decided he was too cool for conspiracy theory obsessed Celine and abandoned her for the popular kids table. At least that's how Celine sees it. These days, there's nothing between them but insults and academic rivalry. So when Celine signs up for a 2-part survival course in the woods, the last thing she expects is to find Brad right beside her. As the adventure brings them closer together, they start to remember all the good parts of their history. But has too much time passed, or just enough to spark a whole new kind of relationship? Sounds cute, and I have heard fantastic things. I love the the Brown Sisters series. I do enjoy Talia Hibbert's writing style, so I feel like this one will be a good one to get to. So that is book 3 from the cards. Book 4 on the TBR. Let's go for book 4 from the cards. Spin this so that you can see it. Choose a book which is a fake relationship trope. Okay. These cards really said May was the month for romance, didn't they? Okay. Let me see what I can find. Alright. Freaking blanket keeps getting stuck under my wheels. This one is really hard because I have many options for fake dating because it's one of my favourite tropes. So we have a couple of new releases. We've got Funny Story by Emily Henry, which I would love to read. This is the Waterstones edition, but I am also getting the, is it a Lumacrate edition or Fairy Loot edition? Whichever one it is as well. So that could count for Box Readathon. And this one is following Daphne and Peter. And also Miles and Petra. So Daphne and Peter were dating. They split up. They were childhood sweethearts, and they ended up splitting up, and Peter got with Petra, and now Peter and Petra are getting married, and Daphne ends up telling Peter that she's coming to his wedding with Miles, Petra's ex. So it's like a fiance swap, but it's fake dating. So that one sounds fantastic, and I'm very excited about reading it. I could also, another one that would continue a series, although they can be read as standalones. They're more interconnected stories, but it would continue a series. In fact, I think it would wrap up a series, but it is a new release. It's Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This one again is apparently fake dating. To find their soulmates, all they need is 4 dates, a kiss and a breakup. Justin has a curse, and thanks to a Reddit thread, is now all over the internet. Every woman he dates goes on to find their soulmate to the second they break up. There's a movie like this. When a woman slides into his DMs with the same problem, they come up with a plan. They'll date, break up and cancel out each other's curses. Fake dating. Emma hasn't planned that her next assignment as a travelling nurse will be to Minnesota, but she and her best friend agree that dating Justin is too good an opportunity to pass up, especially when they get to rent an adorable cottage on a private island on Lake Minnetonka. It's supposed to be a quick fling just for the summer, but when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected, including catching real feelings for each other. What if this time fate has actually brought the perfect pair together? I want to read them all. And then the last one is one that's been on my TBR for a while now, too long. It could fit for continuation station for final book support group, and it is Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. I should really pick this one up, probably because it's been on my TBR the longest. It's following Declan and Iris. This is the second book in the Dreamlands Billionaires series, and I believe Iris is Declan's PA, if I remember correctly. I'm destined to become the next CEO of my family's media empire. The only problem, my grandfather's inheritance clause. Fulfilling his dying wish of getting married and having an heir seemed impossible until my assistant volunteered for the job. Our marriage was supposed to be the perfect solution to my biggest problem, but the more we act in love for the public, the more unsure I feel about our contract. Caring about Iris was never part of the deal, especially not when breaking her heart is inevitable. Iris, My plan to marry Declan was simple in theory. Move in together, throw a wedding, have a baby. We set rules to prevent any kind of issues. Ones that were never meant to be broken, no matter how much Declan tempts me. But what happens when our fake relationship bleeds into our real one? Falling in love was never an option, at least not for me. So in theory, I should pick this one. But I'm very excited about these two. I think what I should do, the logical thing to do, is to pick this and then mood read, and I could pick the others if I want to, if I decide to pick them up. I would also like to save this for summer because I feel like it would be a perfect book in summer, but I'm just very excited about it. So I think I'm going to go for terms and conditions. I'm going to be logical with this and go for terms and conditions. A, it helps me with final book support group and it helps me get to the final book. And B, it's been on my TBR longer than the other two, so it just makes sense. So I think I'm going to do that. Alright, so let's pick our 5th book with the prompts. Spin this around. Choose a book whose author's surname begins with an L. Jesus, what? That's very specific.
2 very boring minutes later.
Okay, choose a book whose author's surname begins with an L. I'm going to go for So Happy For You by Celia Lasky. This is also on my spring TBR. So I'm not doing too bad with that now, which is great. This one is a thriller with a wedding, I think. Robin and Ellie have been best friends since childhood. They've been through everything together, from Robin coming out to the death of Ellie's dad. But when Ellie asks Robin to be her maid of honour, Robin is reluctant. It's not that Robin isn't happy for Ellie, she just hates everything about weddings and marriage, plus the guy Ellie's engaged to. There's also the matter of the crazy, not to mention dangerous, wedding rituals that couples are resorting to in the hopes of securing a lifetime of happiness. Despite her misgivings, Robin finally says yes, but as the wedding day approaches, she gets the feeling that everyone in the bridal party is out to get her, and it seems Ellie is willing to do anything for the perfect day. After all, marriage is about sacrifice. Interesting. I love this cover. I have heard great things about this. Okay, so this is my TBR. We have Fruits Basket, which has been picked for me by Claire, my patron. We've got A Love Story for Ricky Wilde every single time. Ricky Wilde, which was for a book set in my favourite city. A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, that's been on my TBR for over a year. Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute for a book that has body positivity. Terms and Conditions for fake dating. And So Happy For You for an author with L as the last name. So that is definitely the books that, well, we say definitely. How often do I stick to my actual TBR? They're the books that have been pulled for my TBR. And for final book support group, this one counts as a continuation station, as does Fruits Basket. So there's a couple there for continuation station. Fruits Basket, A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, and also So Happy For You are also on my spring TBR, so that is great news. And then I have a stack of books here that are kind of on my radar for one reason or another. So I've got a couple that I'm part way through, one of which is Mina and the Cult by Amy McCaw, which would count for final book support group. It's the final book in the series, and I am currently halfway through this. I'm 189 pages in. I started it while I was in Turkey and then burned out with physical reading when I did 24 manga in 24 days. So I've taken a break from this one and I want to come back to it and finish it off in May. So there's that one. There's also Middle of the Night by Riley Sager that I'm halfway through. I'll show a picture of it here. I've got an arc of it. Again, physical read, so I would like to finish that one off as well. Doesn't count for final book support group or box readathon, so that will just be a random read whenever. Then we've also got Death Note Volume 3, which I started during the 24 manga in 24 hours, but it was taking me a while to get through. So I could do with finishing this one. I am currently here. And this one, again, could count for final book support group as a continuation station. And there is also a prompt for a graphic novel or manga, so that could count for that. But Fruits Basket would also count. So I would like to come back round to that one and finish it off. And then I do have a couple that are on my radar for final book support group, but at the moment it's only a long weekend and I already have quite a few books on for that. So I'm going to mention these very briefly, whether or not I get to them we'll see. But I do have Powerful by Lauren Roberts, which is the novella for the Powerless series, and I would like to continue on with that series. I have got Soul of a Witch, by Harley LaRue, which is a chonker and was a contender for author's last name with an L. However, I decided to go for a book on my spring TBR rather than this one, because final book support group will keep coming up, whereas the spring TBR could do with getting through. So this is the final book in the Souls trilogy, and it is obviously a final book. I have Kate by Madison Tate, which is the final book in the I have Kate by Madison Tate. No. Oh, come on. What is wrong with me today? Why do I keep doing that? I have Kate by Tate James, which is the fourth and final book in the Madison Kate series. Why did she feel the need to do this to us? I didn't get to this one in the last final book support group and I was gutted because I was on a roll with this series, but I would like to finish this series off. So there's that one, and another one that I didn't get to in the last final book support group that I was gutted because I was keeping up with the read along for Becca's Alpha Book Club so much, and I fucked it up right at the last hurdle, and that was Shadowlands by Stacey Marie Brown, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th and final book in the Savage Lands series. It literally says Savage Lands book 6 on the front. 6th book in the Savage Lands series. So those are some, well, final books or continuation stations that are on my radar. I'll see if I can get through any of those. I don't friggin' know, because on top of that I also have Mina and the Cult, Death Note Volume 3, Fruits Basket, and also Terms and Conditions. And Terms and Conditions is not a small book. So we'll see what happens with that. And then a couple of other books on my radar that could count for Box Readathon. I haven't decided on a TBR for this, and I'll probably just wing it on the week. But a couple that are on my radar. We've got The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. I don't own the Fairy Loot editions, but Fairy Loot have done editions of these. I'm gutted I don't own them, to be perfectly honest. I'm really sad I missed them. I've read The Bridge Kingdom before, but I then didn't move on to the rest of the series, so I would like to go back, give this a reread, and then I can move on to Traitor's Queen. I think these are, it's a set of 4 books, but I think they're 2 duologies, and in the first one you follow a set of characters, and then in the second one you follow a different set of characters but that have been featured in the first book. I think that's how it goes. Think the Boys of Tommen series. I think it's like that. So this one I would like to get to for Box Readathon, and it is on my spring TBR, so it will be annihilating from that as well. And then we also have Law of the Wilds by Annalie Sbrana. I think that's how you pronounce that. This has just come in the first Fairy Loot Romantasy box, so it is a special edition, and I would like to try and get to it sooner rather than later, because otherwise it will fester on my TBR, because I haven't heard good things. And the longer it stays on my TBR, the longer I will avoid it. So it's better if I just get to it sooner rather than later. I'm also keen to try and get to Empire of the Damned, but I don't know if I'll be pushing myself too much. So briefly mention it, but that's about it. So everything else I will be winging. I'm probably going to do a little bit of mood reading. We'll see what happens. I do have a couple of reading vlogs planned. Whether or not I do them in May or push them to June, we will see. One of those I don't even know what I'm reading yet, because someone else is in control of my TBR, so we'll see how that goes. But for now I have put Death Note Volume 3 and Mina and the Cult on here because I do want to finish them in May, so they will be going on this TBR. But for right now, this is what the TBR looks like, which I don't think is too bad, to be honest. And I've got quite the mix as well. A couple of manga, we've got some romance on here, quite a bit of romance, we've got a thriller, we've got horror, we've got a mystery, so there's quite mystery fantasy at that as well. There's quite a lot of different options on here, which I'm really happy about. So yeah, that is everything for my May TBR. I'm gonna wing the rest of it otherwise. Let me know in the comments down below, are you taking part in final book support group this time in May? It is the long weekend, the 3rd to the 6th of May. I will leave the announcement video and just description box down below. I haven't even looked to see what counts for that. Also, with those 4 that I've just mentioned, Powerful, Soul of a Witch, Kate, and also Shadowlands, I'll probably put them in a poll and let people pick for me, because there is a poll pick on the bingo board for Final Book Support Group. Bloody hell. On the bingo board for Final Book Support Group. So yeah, chat to me in the comments down below. Have you read any of these? Would you prioritise any of the others that are on my radar right now? And I hope you have enjoyed this video. I shall see you in whatever comes next. Bye for now.